Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Inspirit Communications Talk Radio, where your voice is heard. I'm your host, Danella Martin Braddock. Hello, everyone. This is Danella Martin Braddock, and this is our first broadcast of Inspirit Talk Radio, where your voice is heard. First, I want to introduce you to our panelists tonight, and please give everyone a warm welcome with your love and hopefully some phone calls later on. First up, we have Leslie Ann Brown, affectionately known as Lab. She's the writer, and she's the founder of Bandit Queen Press, and she's based in Copenhagen, Denmark. I'm sure I didn't pronounce that right.
You did. You got it correct.
But I don't know if they say that in Denmark. Don't they say Copenhagen or something like that?
No, they don't. They say it completely different from that. But you said, Copenhagen. That's good.
Okay, coolness. I thought it was like Hagen-Dazs or something.
Nope.
And then we have Tawana Barnes, law student, glamour girl extraordinaire, here to give us that youthful perspective. And then we have another distinguished guest, Pastor Arthur Barnes, who is based in New York. Hopefully all you guys got a chance to read everyone's bio on the website and you kind of feel like you're familiar with these guys. In any case, after we're done, hopefully, we'll feel like family a little bit. So anyway, I just want to jump into the topic. The topic is Black women and marriage. Is marriage becoming obsolete? Now, we already know that with, Black women, it's kind of tough to talk about Black women because, Black women are sensitive. And we kind of have a right to be sensitive, just the dynamics that go on, with concepts of race and beauty in this society and roles, in society worldwide. Things are constantly changing. And, it seems like we've got a lot of issues as far as finding where we belong, whatever that means. We have to deal with so much. So as we speak, I'm kind of, I'm a Black woman. I do try to be objective in a lot of cases, and sometimes that doesn't make me popular with other Black women. But I just think we kind of need to keep it real, because it's about us, it's about our families, it's about our our mental, spiritual, and, personal health. So let's get this dialogue happening, Black women and marriage. We've got some statistics that are really, really quite ugly.
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes.
Let me brace myself.
Okay, yeah. The statistics are painful. They are. Whether you, take credence to, believe that the statistics are something worth paying attention to, or you think they're not. Either way, you don't have to look at a statistic. You can kind of look in your own lives and see that when it comes to, marriage, Black women, we're kind of getting left behind a little bit. What's going on with that? Anyone have any comments?
I mean, if I may say something, when you mentioned that the show was about marriage, I thought it was very interesting when you think about us as a people and historically, and marriage being a relatively new institution, at least the way that it looks like today. And I just kind of wanted to put that on the table because it is not something that, what can you talk about marriage, what you think about it today in terms of how it serves us?
Okay, interesting. For me, straight off the bat, for me, marriage is, of course, you've got two components for me. One, you've got your personal happiness and development. It's human nature to, want a lover, a companion. Mm-hmm. And, marriage is not necessary, in order to have a successful, loving relationship. You certainly don't need marriage because it is a social construct. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it depends on your personal beliefs. Like for me, marriage is extremely important to me. Mm-hmm. Even if I get divorced tomorrow, it's important to me that I was married. And it's important to me, not for religious reasons because I'm not religious, but I think for me, growing up, I was, a product of a single-parent home. And I felt very illegitimate. When you don't have a father, it affects how you see yourself and all of the stuff that goes with it. And I think for me, marriage gave me that legitimacy, that social legitimacy that I wanted. Yes, I know it's artificial. Yes, I know, it's just part of a social construct. But for my development as a person, it was important for me to feel a sense of legitimacy. And in this culture, as it stands right now, marriage is it, at least for most people. And it was important for me to be recognized as a wife in society. It was important for me to have that label. Absolutely, I wanted that label.
It's interesting. Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, yes.
No, it's okay. What's interesting about that is that politically and socially, marriage, legally you do become, as a woman, you do become the property of your husband. So that's interesting that you're saying that it's not until, we do that some of us, because that makes a lot of sense, that is key to feeling legitimate in society.
Yes. And as backwards as that sounds, I think when you have a hole in your personal development, when you have that need to be legitimized, to be recognized, my thing is whatever it takes, on a spiritual, emotional, metaphysical level, I know, okay, I'm a human, having a spirit, I'm a spirit having a human experience, and therefore the labels and all of that is unnecessary. But for me, as a person, with all of my holes and with all of my deficits, from my childhood, marriage was necessary. And if I am, it doesn't mean that I'm going to stay married. God forbid, if I do divorce, it's something that I've been through. I've done that. I felt it. I felt legitimized, and boom, and now I can throw it away. But it was important to me.
Okay, because I'm just thinking the legitimacy, it sounds like it comes from actually being involved in a partnership with another human being.
Well, for me, it wasn't just a partnership, because if that were the case, I wouldn't have had to be married. For me, it was everything. For me, it was I walk out of the house and I have a wedding ring on my finger.
It was a combination of things, in other words.
Yes, absolutely, a combination of things. And they can be considered shallow or whatever, but I know what I needed and what I wanted as a person, as a woman, and it absolutely helped my development to, be legitimately recognized, as Mrs. Braddock. As backwards as that sounds. And I think for a lot of women, especially black women, we kind of feel like we don't really belong. We're just kind of just making our way in society. And I think it's important that you need to recognize that that's important to you. You really do. If you don't need it, then great. Have your relationships, have your children or this and that. But that's another thing for me. I didn't want to have an illegitimate child. And that meant something to me also. I was an illegitimate child, and technically I don't think there's, in the long run, does it really make a difference? Absolutely not. My most important thing is I would like to think every child comes here in love. But I know for me, socially, it was important that my child was legitimate. And so these things...
But I'm just I react very strongly to that, because like you, I feel like all children are legitimate, and I think this illegitimacy comes from a system. It's not it's not the children, it's not the people. It's a system that's constructed upon recognizing whether a child is... that information is private, and it becomes a social one, and
And it becomes a stereotype somewhat as well.
Exactly.
When they say, this is an illegitimate child, the child less of a person because it didn't come about through matrimony, But I think more or less with how things are going with black women in marriage is I think it's almost to each his own. Some people have values of wanting to be married. Some people come from broken homes. Some people come from homes in which they have both of their parents, and they want to emulate that. A lot of times we want to emulate our parents and so forth. And I really think that it stems from the values that people have. And a lot of people